Hey everyone, and welcome to my story time, if you will. I don't really make these individual videos of highlighting a specific story in my life. The odd time I'll tell a story on their Having a Yak podcast, and then, the odd time I'll throw a hint at this Cape Chignecto story, and you guys have picked up on that hint and said, yeah, we want to hear about that. We want to hear about your experience. And if you don't know, Cape Chignecto Trail is 50 to 60 kilometer backwoods hike trail over the highest elevations or highest cliffs in mainland Nova Scotia. It takes, I guess that's relative as far as how long it should take the person to complete it. Some people can do it in probably a day if they run, but we did it in 3 days. I think the majority of people probably do it in 3 or 4 days. And I think to really enjoy it, you could probably do it in 5 or 6. But I'm here to tell you about the entire story with pictures, with video. I'm going to walk you through day by day. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled. I actually got heat exhaustion on the last day, the easiest day, actually. And there's some video of that. There's some of my experiences, some of what I dealt with there. And before I get in and completely jump in and go day by day and walk you through the photos and walk you through the video, I just want to basically tell the short version of the story of me getting heat exhaustion. So a couple of factors went into play here. And if I could offer some advice first, if you're going to do something like this, and if you're going to go on a 60 kilometer backwoods hike with no cell service, and you're literally on your own, eat breakfast, get a haircut first because you're going to be sweating a lot. But yeah, eat breakfast, drink a ton. Both of those things I did not do. I didn't eat enough, and I especially didn't eat breakfast. And I did not drink enough water prior to the hike starting. So I found it very difficult to ingest enough water to match the output of sweat, I guess, if you will. So I really struggled. I was dehydrated the majority of the weekend, and it seemed no matter how much water I drank, I could never quench my thirst. I could never stop the sweating. It was crazy. So a lot of that led to me getting heat exhaustion on the third day. And it was scary at the time, but it was really scary once I got home and actually read the symptoms of each level of heat exhaustion. So from what I read when I got home, there are 3 levels of heat exhaustion. Level 1 is the beginning symptoms. Obviously, level 2 is when it starts to get quite serious, and level 3 is level 3 is an emergency. At level 3, your organs literally start shutting down, and you basically pass out and you die. So, based on what I read, I was at the higher level of stage 2, approaching stage 3. So I was in the worry zone, and we need to rectify the situation quickly, because it's going to be potentially life-threatening. And at the time, I was scared. I didn't really understand what was going on. I couldn't catch my breath, regardless of whether it was a flat terrain. I couldn't stop sweating. And it was scary at the time, but it really, really sunk in once I got home and read how close I was to actually stage 3, based on the individual symptoms I have and the new symptoms you have at each level and higher. So if I could offer any advice, like I said earlier, drink a lot of water, eat a lot of food, and eat breakfast for sure. But you'll see videos of some of my experience here at the end, and I just want to jump in day by day now. I'm not going to spend a whole time in each individual picture, but I'm kind of go through this at a reasonable pace and in a chronological order as far as the pictures were taken. Now, I've taken the majority of these pictures in the video, but also Chris has taken some as well, because he was with me. I was with Chris, Aubrey, Mark, and I'm so sorry, I cannot remember his name. It'll come to me. Anyways, let's go to first picture on day 1, and it's just basically what I bought for the trip, or what I was bringing with me. So I've got food in there: beef jerky, M&Ms. It's got some peanuts in there, some ramen, a collapsible bowl. Chris brought stuff to actually heat everything up. So he was gonna heat the water. I was gonna use the water and have ramen that way. Lots of fly spray or fly dope or bug spray, whatever you call it where you're from. In New Brunswick, growing up, we called it fly dope, which is a little comical to think back on now, that the majority of people I know as an adult don't call it that. But just some things like some rope, some wet wipes in case you had to do your business in the woods, some Kleenex, a sleeping bag, obviously some clothes, a jacket in case it rained, the tent, just little things, just little tiny things that you think you might need. A poncho if you don't want to wear a jacket because it's too heavy and you're sweating. Maybe consider wearing a poncho. A rubber sack to go around the hiking bag that prevents it from getting wet. Just all kinds of little things. So obviously there's all kinds of things in this specific picture. I'm not going to pick everyone out. I'm going to move on to the next one. And this is when we first arrived. So this is the actual trail. It gives you the outline of where you're going. So if you can see down below in the middle, it says see above, yada, 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 in blue font. That's where we started. And we had to go onto the beach and then walk along the beach. And you'll see a photo of that here soon. And you can see the elevation changes as you go around. And basically we're walking the entire coast all the way around to the left and all the way up to the top, cutting in at that little inlet and then walking back through the woods to the start. The longest of the 3 days was the last day, if I remember correctly. It's not like you don't walk in a straight line here. You don't walk or you don't walk in the same elevation, I guess, is what I really wanted to say. You're walking over cliffs that go up hundreds of feet at a time, and then you're going down the other side. So you'll see lots of photos of that coming up. Here's just another map, just kind of giving you a little bit more detail of your journey and some of the stops and where you're camping. So you have to hike, for example, 15 kilometers, and then you hike and then you stay for a night, you sleep, and then you get up the next morning, and then you go on to the next point. You're not hiking in the middle of the night or anything like that. So getting to the actual photos, I guess this is a video first. I just want to take a little bit of video as we were starting out. So we're walking down here towards the beach, and everyone's kind of, we're at this point, we're pretty excited. We're nervous, obviously. There's some a little bit more experienced than others, and I was probably the least experienced of the group, but we're walking down, and the view walking onto the beach was incredible. It's a nice overcast day, so it wasn't too hot. It was pretty cool to start this on the beach, and it's not a typical beach that's sandy. You gotta have some of the big rocks, but you also have some sand as well. And we just continued to walk along the beach, and you could see the cliffs right away starting. Just a beautiful part of Canada. I really do want to go back, even though I did struggle the first time, and I have broken my ankle since. I kind of want to go back and tackle this monster again. After the first initial climb, which was actual stairs and not a trail, it was a lot of stairs. Trust me, I don't have a picture of it, but we start to get at some of the elevation points, and we start to see some of the incredible views. This was one of the incredible views that we saw for the first time, and it was one of many to come. As we continue to walk around, we're going up cliffs, we're going down, we're coming in by the water, and we're just seeing what's in front of us. We can kind of, since we're walking around the coast, we're seeing our hikes to come as we do it, which was really interesting. And of course, we took breaks, and we just looked out, and we just enjoyed the scenery and just had an awesome time. But then you cut into the woods, and you're just in this magical wonderland of green forest, and you're walking there for a little bit, and then boom, you're back out at the coast. It was really cool. It was pretty remarkable. And then when you get down one of the cliffs and you spend some time at the water, you take a break, have some snacks, and you just kind of dip your feet in the water and look at the cool rock formations and stuff. And then boom, you start your journey again, and you're back on top of a cliff with a new view. It was pretty remarkable. As we walk, you could kind of see what's ahead of you. And I think this picture here is a really good example of that. We're currently on a pretty high cliff, but we can see that it kind of, it goes down to regular elevation or more easy elevation. And I think actually what we're seeing now in this photo is our campsite that we're going to be staying at. So you see the little beach there, and off to the left of that is our first campsite for the night. So, for the finish line is in view here for the first day, or day one. So once we finally get there, we're setting up camp. Chris and I shared a site, and some others had their individual sites, but Chris and I had the exact same tent, which is, you'll see very soon, it's basically a coffin tent. But we set up, we put down a tarp, and I hung my bag on the tree there, and that was, it's overflowing with stuff. I admittedly did not have the proper hiking bag for the amount of stuff that I had, so I had my sleeping bag, which was too big in general, wrapped in plastic on the outside, and it was just basically a CF, if you know what I mean, if I mean by that. So here is our campsite with the tents up. As you can see, the word coffin is applicable here. We are literally sleeping in coffin tents. There is no room to lean up. There is barely enough room to get in. Your feet are touching, your head is touching. You'll see some of that here soon as well. I took some pictures from inside the tent. But once we got the camp set up, we went to the stream, and we got our water. We know we have to replenish. We can't take 15 liters of water each with us over the 3 days. We have to replenish our water while we're hiking, and to do this, we know we have to find the right stream. But you can't just start drinking out of a stream. There's bacteria. You could get the wrong bacteria in your system, and then you get diarrhea. And the last thing you want to do is have the Hershey squirts 25 kilometers from home base, and you're being dehydrated. I mean, that's potentially life-threatening to be that dehydrated. So, we had to replenish, and we're using filters to make sure that we don't get any of that bacteria in our system. So that's actually what's happening in this picture. We are pumping it out through a filtration system to refill. And then as the night continued to sunset, we had our camp set up. We were just relaxing at this point. We agreed to an absolutely beautiful sunset. So we kind of we just all stood there and had some good chats and just loved the view, basically. We set up a hammock, or Mark set up a hammock, and we each got a couple of minutes in the hammock. So this is me just laying on the hammock right along the cliffs, just enjoying the sunset as it went down. After watching the sunset for a while, it's it's an early morning, so we're actually going to sleep. We're getting in the tent while it's still daylight, because we have to get up super early in the morning, basically at sunrise, which is 5 or 5:30 in the morning the next morning. So we're heading to bed early, and this is my view looking up from the inside of my tent. It's not a great view. This is looking down. My feet are touching the end here. My knees or my middle section is almost touching the top of the tent, and my head is completely crooked at the top here. It was not comfortable, and I'm not a tall person. I'm on a good day 5'10". So Chris, who's sleeping next to me in the identical tent, who is 6'2" or something like that, I can't even imagine how cramped his night was. I do have some video from each day, and instead of showing all of the video in day one, I'm actually going to keep some of the video for the end, just to kind of show you. It's not really a vlog because it's not edited that way, but Chris has some footage that he's given me, and I want to show you most of that along with some of mine at the end. So if we move on to day 2, we were greeted with an unbelievably perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. It was nice and cool in the morning, so really easy to hike. That's another reason why we get up early. In the middle of the day in July, which this was, it gets hot here in this region of Canada, and the more hiking that we can do in cool weather in the morning and at night, kind of the better. So we got up super early and started our hike right away. I tried to take a panoramic shot of the same beach, but the stitching didn't do a very good job, but here it is anyway. So this was probably one of my favorite moments of the entire weekend, because this hike was outstanding. The terrain that we were walking over was very unique. I honestly felt like I was in a different country, like I was in Ireland or Scotland or something. It didn't really feel like Canada. And the trails were easy. It wasn't too rocky, but it wasn't too hilly. It was just a really nice, enjoyable hike that I would love to do again in the future. Just that specific section. If it wasn't so difficult to get to that section, then I definitely like to do that again. But again, we just, we had these remarkable views in every direction, and it was so enjoyable. And we really saw a lot of elevation gain and falls on to day 2. There was some really, really high cliffs that we had to go up and down constantly, and we made sure that we took lots of breaks. When you get down to these beaches and stuff, and there's some driftwood laying down, and we kind of sit and have a snack and have a conversation, get some rest, and then just go back at it and do rinse and repeat. There are endless amount of trails that go down and endless amount of trails that go up. When you go down, you're going up again, and when you go up, you're about to go down again too. And again, just with the change in scenery, you're walking along the cliff, and then 5 minutes later, you're in the middle of a deep, luscious, beautiful forest. It was fantastic. And then some of the trails widened, and things started to open up a little bit. And it's just so enjoyable just to see a different thing like around every corner. It was remarkable. You can really tell some of the terrain here, lots of roots going down right straight across the trail, so you really had to be careful not to trip, and it was like this for quite a while in this section. And also along the trail too, there were these little huts or rest stations that If it wasn't locked, you could go inside and kind of rest a little bit, but majority of them were locked because you can actually rent these and sleep in these. If you don't want to sleep in a tent, you can rent these and have it pre-booked. So when you hike and you get to this point, that's yours. You have the key. You can go in and rest in an actual bed. I mean, it's not really an actual bed. It's quite uncomfortable, but still you have the option of sleeping indoors versus outdoors and not lugging a tent with you. So that is an option. We didn't take that option, and I probably wouldn't in the future. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to be backwoods hiking with no cell service and no real contact to the rest of the world, I want to actually do it. I want to sleep in a tent. I don't want to sleep in a cottage or a home. So eventually we got to kind of our home base, our next campsite. And this is, this is just a random rock in the middle of the beach where Mark decided to climb up and praise the world, I guess. And then the rest of the boys went for a swim in the very, very cold water. It was July, but it was still extremely cold. I wasn't feeling that great at this point. I was quite dehydrated, and I just kind of wanted to get my campsite set up. The bugs were absolutely terrible. I just kind of wanted to get it out of the way. So I stayed out of the water at this point, but I really should have gone in because it would have cooled me down and probably would have helped me. I hear a lot of health benefits from cold water baths and stuff, or ice baths, I guess they call it. So maybe I should have gone in there. So again, this is my tent on night 2. I have it all set up on the campsite while those boys are swimming, and then Chris came in and he decided to set up his tent as well on the same site. And you can see our little twig fire going down there. You wouldn't think that a twig fire would generate a lot of heat, but whenever you contain the fire within that little metal tin and aim it up towards a pot that's boiling, that has water, you'd be surprised how quickly that water boils and how quickly you can cook things. We didn't really do much the rest of this night. We kind of just relaxed and, looked out over the water and enjoyed the view and just had some other good conversations as well. Moving on to day 3, and this was probably the worst day weather-wise that we had, as far as, a clear sky is beautiful and nice, but it means it's going to get hot. As far as picturesque views in clear skies, this was not the day for that. It was cloudy the entire day, but it was more cool, which was interesting because the last day, which is the day that I got heat exhaustion, was actually the day that it was not the warmest. It was the coolest of the 3 days, if I remember correctly. So it's just one of those things. But I mean, again, some incredible views of some cliffs and stuff. And I actually started the day very fast. I was way ahead of everyone else. You can see this picture just kind of looking back at them. And this picture zoomed in quite a bit. So I'm probably about 5 minutes ahead of them at this point. And I don't know if I overdid it, but I felt like I had a lot of energy, so I just kept going. And maybe that led a little bit to the heat exhaustion, but I don't really have any regrets. I was feeling good, so I wanted to do as best as I could. And then eventually they caught up, and in this picture here, I'm the one that's far off to the left, and I actually remember this point. I remember dreading having to go back up into the woods and do more hiking because we just got done a rest here at this point. So I was really just completely dreading crossing that little tiny stream and going back up the hill. As you can tell, I'm feeling a little bit tired at this point. I'm kind of putting all my weight on a walking stick I think I have or something. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, I guess I'm holding my hand up with a thumbs up sign, but trust me, I am not feeling this at this point. But and again, the changing landscape. You're in a forest with lots of moss and stuff, but you really need to be careful. I mean, one wrong move and you're going over the hill. I have a photo here to show you a little bit later on that. But and eventually we went back out to the beach that we started on, and we walked back towards the center. And at the end of there, once we get back and get showered and stuff, there's a little shower. You can take care of yourself. We drove home, and that's basically it. There's not really many other photos from day 3 because of how difficult it was for me. And you'll see that here in the video here coming up shortly. But just before we get on to that, I wanted to show you a little bit of the terrain. And I think most of these photos are Chris's, so thank you, Chris, for allowing me to use these. But Chris got some really, really good shots of just some of the typical terrain that you can see on this hike. So we have some sections which have boards where you don't have to walk through the marshy, soft stuff. You can walk along the boards and you're surrounded by trees. And then it gets really thick with trees, and there's still the trail, but you have to watch your head. There's branches and there's trees kind of hanging over everything. And then there's streams that you need to cross. And, if you get lucky, there's a bridge there and it makes it a little bit more easy. So it's a really well-maintained trail based on difficulty. You're not going to have a bunch of people combing this trail constantly, trying to make it really easy to get around certain areas and just do trail maintenance in general. So regardless of that, we were really lucky with no huge obstacles to try and get over, like no massive trees in the way or floods or streams that are too high and it's almost impossible to cross. So we got really lucky. In this photo, you can tell that one wrong step. This is Aubrey here in the photo. One wrong step, and Aubrey could go tumbling down that side and probably not have a good end to his day. And this is kind of looking up another trail just to give you an example of just some of the terrains. Not all the time it's roots. Sometimes you need to watch out for rocks, and they can definitely be deceiving. So yeah, this photo here really gives you a perspective of elevation. We are extremely high here. We're probably at least 300 feet, maybe 400 feet. But if you fall off this, and I have a photo here next to show you, I mean, you're not getting hurt. You're not breaking legs. You're breaking everything. You're dead. Like if you fall from this point, you are dead. So some of this terrain was actually quite scary. But on the other side of that terrain is a hill, or other side of that cliff is a hill, and you go down, and then you're greeted to this little tiny beach area where you can rest and stuff. And that's kind of how it was. It was rinse and repeat. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, and every once in a while you get on a really cool beach with some cliffs with some amazing different color, and you can really appreciate just the unique sights at every single point. And some of them even had caves that you could kind of walk in and just kind of chill and explore a little bit. They weren't very big, but they're pretty cool. And this shot here really gives you a perspective of how big these cliffs actually are in relation to the height of a person. So that kind of wraps up the photo gallery or display of what's going on. I do have some videos here to show you. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to show you in chronological order some of the clips that Chris has taken, some of the clips that I have taken, but it's not going to do a very good job telling the story. It's just going to kind of be random, and I do apologize for that. And I kind of debated back and forth on how I wanted to make this video, because it's going to be a long video. It's a very in-depth video. I wasn't sure if I should include all the video that I took and made it just about my heat exhaustion and my struggles, but I decided to just touch on that a little bit and really focus on the actual hike itself, which was amazing. I would highly recommend it to anyone if you're in shape, and I was not in shape, and that was one of my problems as well. I was not in shape, and I just did not have an easy time. But the videos you're about to see mostly from Chris, so thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And so here's some clips.
You getting nervous now?
Already.
One and a half kilometers. Walking along a little stream here. We just did the climb from the stairs off the beach, and now we're hiking. Oh sh! Oh sh! Oh, we got some climbing to do. Wow, guys, this is awesome. 24.
I didn't have breakfast.
I didn't either. 20 floors climbed so far.
Number one.
Yep. Big ass bowl of cereal this morning.
Look at you sucking on the love child.
Banana, orange juice.
Neil,
Yeah.
this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. What have you learned about hiking?
Today I'm learning that I should have got a haircut.
Yeah, me too. And another thing too is don't hike with people who are marathon runners.
Yes.
Like, they'll embarrass you. I can't even see them now.
And
But it's okay. I don't care, whatever. Also, before you hike, giant breakfast. The day before, drink a ton of water.
Yes.
So your pee is clear. And also, get as much sleep as you possibly can the night before, because you have no idea how much sleep you're gonna get on the trail. So, hot tips from Chris and Neil. How would you rate this trail?
Fun if you're in shape. Don't come if you're not in shape.
How you doing?
Like me. Hot. Very hot. Very sweaty. Very not in shape.
We're at 6 kilometers of our first day that is 20-ish.
I feel
And these bunch of horses up here, mountain goats.
That's my tent. It's not really a tent, it's more of a coffin for a human. Some stuff over here. We got like a little bench, and got some stuff hanging from the tree over there. Well, it's all mirrored and backwards on my camera. And there's the path to come out. And down through there is the water.
Feeling
Not bad.
good. And it's only 10K today. No rain possible. What's your step here?
Thank you.
You'll have to walk around us on the outside.
This hill is long as hell. I'm gonna go back down and see if I drop my bag off at the top there. I'm gonna go down and see if Neil will give me his bag. Maybe just make it a little easier on him, because it's a tough climb. Come down and take your bag up. Yeah,
What's wrong with me?
and take your bag up. Drop it. How are your nips?
I just lubed them up. I took a break down there. I took the bag off just so I could catch my breath.
Yep.
I couldn't. Like, it's not hard. Like, this is obviously a hill, but the rest of it is flat.
Oh.
I dropped a bunch of weight from my pack.
What else did you drop?
I poured out a bottle of water. Threw away a bunch of bungee cord.
Neil a break from his pack. He's in pretty rough shape.
Holy Lord, that's cold.
What are you doing, Neil?
Just chilling. I think I'm gonna stay here.
Are you hot, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, gross. Change the color of water.
Yeah.
You look like Astro Boy. So you're having a bit of a rough time back there.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Figure it's heat exhaustion?
Yeah, it must have been. I've never experienced anything like that before.
Well,
Couldn't catch my breath. Couldn't stop sweating. It's crazy.
let's slow that down in slow motion. That's gonna look some sexy. Okay. Neil, slow the down. Like, I'm gonna remind you how badly my feet hurt. I'm not even kidding. Like, slow the down. Because I am not going faster. You learn some things, Neil?
Yeah, not to do this again. Not to do this again.
Oh man, it took him no time.
Watch the current. Doesn't take much.
Three happy dudes right there. Three happy dudes right there.
All right, surprise. Yeah, congratulations. You can see my hair. I've not been in a video without a hat on, I think, ever in the 1,400 videos that I've been here on YouTube. But there's been some conspiracy theories if I'm bald or not. Well, there you go. There's proof I'm not bald. Not close to it, thankfully. I've had the same kind of hairline since I was 18, so it's not receded any in the past 14 years, which is great, or 16 years, which is awesome. Good news for me. I did not inherit Dad's baldness. No offense, Dad. I think I got Mom's hair. So, based on what I said earlier, but I didn't want this to be about heat exhaustion. I kind of wanted to tell the story. There's even pieces of this story that I can't tell because I don't have the same perspective as someone else, which is the great news, because someone else who was on this hike, Chris, I'm sure most of you are familiar with him already you've seen him in other videos of mine. He has his own YouTube channel, and he's going to tell his side of this story on his channel. And he's actually filmed a little clip for me, for you guys to watch as an outro before I say my final goodbyes. So check it out.
Hey guys, Chris here. It is really hard to believe that hike was almost 2 years ago. I haven't done anything with the footage. Neil had sent me a message looking for some clips because he wanted to make a video. And so I need something from you guys. I need you guys to leave comments down below and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see my edit of this video. I haven't done anything with it. I need that motivation. I have a ton of photos, a ton of videos from that hike, and I don't really know how to put it together. I can tell you one thing. When my friend was having such a hard time hiking, it was hard to stick a camera in his face. So there was a story of Neil having a challenge, but I didn't film that. So I'm so glad that Neil made this video. You guys will see a bunch of great reasons to go on a hike in Chignecto. Photos like this, places you can't get to unless you walk there. And I can tell you that there are few better feelings than getting to the end and finishing your hike. If you guys head over to my channel, you'll see a few videos when our group trained for the hike in Nova Scotia when we were on Prince Edward Island. And there is nothing on Prince Edward Island that can prepare you for the ruggedness, for the elevation, and for the descents that there are on this hike. It was hard. And as they say, it was no walk in the park. But Prince Edward Island, we have gentle rolling hills and sandstone, and you just couldn't find it. So anyway, I'd love to have you guys over at my channel. Subscribe, leave a comment below with a little bit of motivation to get me to edit my footage. Love to see you there. Thanks, and we will see you in the comments.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And like he said, it takes motivation to kind of do some of these projects. For me, I've been sitting on this one for 3 months or so, and I've just kind of been dreading it. Not that I didn't want to do it, just that it was a lot of work, and I had to go back in the archives and pick out which pictures I wanted to use and how I wanted to tell the story and stuff. It's quite daunting, and I know Chris's pain, but Chris is going to tell a really, really good version of our story, of his hike, of our hike, and but he needs a little bit of motivation because he's got other things on the go too. So he's got all that footage ready and stuff. He just needs to do it. So Chris, get on it, buddy. And you guys, if you want to see his version of the story, please go over to his channel, hit the subscribe button, and let him know in the comment section on his videos that he needs to get his butt in gear and get this video out. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're having an awesome day. If you have any questions about the hike in general, maybe it's something you're interested in doing in the future, feel free to email me. Emails down below in the description, or if you want to tweet at me or something like that. I have DMs disabled on Instagram and Twitter, I believe. So the best way to get in contact with me and get an answer is actually just to tweet me, and I'll reply with the tweet and help out as best as I can. I get so many emails that I find it hard to reply at a proper pace. So tweet is definitely the best option for me. So and I'm on Twitter at Post2Post Show if you want to follow me over there. So thanks guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you have an awesome day. Please hit the subscribe button down below. That helps me the most. I'm really trying to grow the subscribers of this channel, and hit the like button too. Share it with a friend. Share it with a hiking friend. And plan your journey to Cape Chignecto, hopefully in the future. All right, guys, take care. Adios.